Yeah,
Okay,
so you
did
have to
that share
copy
the right
paste,
post? We'll see. Okay,
copy
no,
the
that wasn't right.
post, and then paste it into that box, and then hit.
There we go.
Okay, so if I go like that, I swear to God, I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing. Okay, there you go. There you go. You
I
got it.
believe in you.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's not intuitive. Call Elon Musk up. Tell him he's fucked up.
he
Oh, and
invented
now
it.
it's not even showing in the fucking thing, dude. But yeah, there's. If you click on it,
I see
there's
it.
a little automated flag,
Okay,
dude.
okay.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll post the YouTube link underneath this. I'm streaming live.
me too,
Just
actually. I'm
oh,
on
The,
the fucking YouTube, and actually, I'm restreaming. I started. I was literally in the middle of setting up Eliza, and then you started your space while I was also streaming to X. So
oh, sick.
um, I cut it earlier for language purposes because I was also streaming to YouTube. But
Makes sense. I'll
we
probably
we
have
is
to.
here now.
Here, I'll share it to the jumbotron,
There
whatever
you
you want
go.
to call
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I'll post it. Just anybody can do it, but
Cool.
No, I was yammering. I don't know. I was yammering earlier in my spot too because fucking I am also simultaneously hanging out with my buddy in Discord. So we we are all just catching up in all. No, they can't hear you. Um, we are catching up everybody with all of the things all at once. I guess that's the plan.
it's like having schizo voices in your head, you know.
Oh, dude, I don't
You're
have enough
schizo
of those right
maxing.
now. Fucking I, dude. Unironically schizomaxing. Did you
Yeah,
hear? I'm about to resurrect like a fucking $6 million company. It's gonna be fun.
man, I'm a believer. What is it? Can we ape it?
Yeah,
What do we buy?
build space, dude. I'm bringing it back. It's
Oh,
happening.
sick.
Like as far as it took off, it's gonna
Really?
fuck off.
What's it?
Oh,
What is it? Say it again.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it was a thing for a while. Build space is
Mm.
it's like a periodic hackathon kind of
Right,
thing,
right.
like slash social media thing. But
Are they founders Inc?
alchemy
Is it the
is
same?
one of the things that like one of the people that I work with sometimes, and they're having a hackathon that just so happens to be like a few weeks long, and like kind of it's like one of those art chains, so you can kind of just like build whatever the fuck you want. And they already hit me up to do some of the workshops. So I already had not only a Twitter community that was like S6 build space for us to do by ourselves. I also have the underscore nights weekends YouTube channel already camped, which I grabbed, I think in the middle of S4. Um, so on it might even be more fun to bring back actual build space, but it's ran by a bot instead, or all of the bots on Twitter instead.
I
That
mean,
could be
Yeah,
fun.
dude. Low key, some of these fucking not some of them, like all the AIs are like better than any teacher I've ever had. Like, I don't know.
True,
have
man.
you tried like learning a language where you're like, hey, translate this, or respond to me in English and give me the Russian translation below it, and it's like mind blowingly good
That's
for
a
that
good
kind
one.
of thing.
I like that shit.
Can I want to show you
Yeah.
guys how I code because you're gonna hate me or it's gonna change your world and you're gonna
it's
realize I
not
can do it
working.
too.
Your link,
My
it says live streaming isn't, well, maybe it's a Linux thing.
the fuck. It
Yeah,
says
you link the studio.
No,
You can't do the studio one.
he's right. It's not working.
oh shit. I'm
You have to do
sorry.
the normal one.
That
Yeah.
is the wrong link. Here is the share link. I see. Okay. My bad. I copied the. I'm a noob.
I'll delete it. I'll delete this one, and then
Yeah.
I'll post. You can just post it straight to the jumbotron thing or whatever. I'll do it if you comment it. That's fine.
Hey, yikes, before I forget,
So
I'm building a 3D web ring of virtual hacker
fuck
spaces.
yeah.
I 3D scan them and I build VR
Virtual
virtual
stuff.
hackers them in different places. But if you ever get a 3D scan of build space, hit me up. I can add it to the web ring.
Interesting. Yeah. I will have to see if I can track me down some
If you
OG
want
build
to have
spaces that are
agents in
actually
there,
there.
yeah, like if you want to have agents in there or do robotics or augmented reality, having a 3D scan would be invaluable.
Interesting. I mean, uh, Shaw, what are you doing next weekend?
I don't know.
you live near that office. I don't, buddy. That's all I'm
I could
saying.
I could be open. I've got a lot of interesting things. Well, the thing is, I'm doing another project We're doing a thing called Based or Biased, which will be another Twitter shareable. I'm doing with Mark Pincus and Beth. That'll be interesting. I should just let that launch, but it'll be like a Twitter shareable thing. Anyway, so I'm a little bit busy with that. Anyway, let's talk about first off. Can you like see my screen? Does it work?
If I can,
Yeah,
look at the thing
Everyone
again.
is not here
Okay.
to bullshit. They're here to see if I know what I'm talking about or if I'm just scamming them. That's like really what this is about. Like,
Oh,
are
there
we
we go.
actually
Okay.
doing something hard, or are we just like typing out all these messages and pretending it's AI? That's really the question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe we can go through like a live example. Like someone
Yeah.
tweets
VS
at it.
Code, I can tell you right now, you're not doing anything hard. Sorry.
No, sorry.
I use Vim, by the way.
I don't. I use defaults. I use defaults
You're
of the
good.
easiest noobish shit.
Tell them your wife codes in Vim.
My wife codes in Vim, so
Based
yeah,
wife.
yeah.
Love it.
So okay, so let's see. There's so much here. Where do we want to start? I'm gonna start at like GitHub. Okay, like I have this code. What is this code? I'll just go to GitHub and I will go to Lolmoon. So this is
I pinned it too so people can see, by the way. If you
Great.
can't find the comments, it's just on the Space Jumbotron thing. Click the YouTube link.
so this is my GitHub. The way GitHub works is you have like pinned projects. You have like your contributions to different projects, and then you kind of have like a list of things you've worked on, and then you can also go to repos and you can see like all the stuff I've worked on. So obviously these are going to be interesting to us, DGen Spartan AI. I've done a lot of stuff with like, I don't know, character files, the thing we're working on. So that's actually how we make the characters, and we can manage like 10 of them and run them all at the same time. So character file. Agent Twitter client. This is a package that lets us connect to Twitter semi-legally. It's, you know, it's not violating too many terms of services, but that's sort of how we're doing that. I have a lot of stuff on voices and I don't know, whatever, blah blah blah. But this is GitHub, right? So I see in my GitHub, you're like, okay, well, what is that? I don't know. Okay, well, I have this project here called DGen Spartan AI, and you see there's a bunch of files here. Okay, and I want to like get this. I want to start working on this. So up here, I can actually download the code by clicking on this code button and click the zip, and that's kind of like the noob approach, just to get the code, download it, whatever. But actually, what I want to do is I want to do what's called cloning the repo. I hope you guys are cool with this. Like I'm gonna teach you some stuff. So cloning the repo says, well,
We're going fundamentals.
yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, this is great.
I like it. I like it.
So this is GitHub. There's a bunch of code here. There's code inside of these folders. I want to get this onto my computer. So I'm going to take this link right here, which is the link to what's called the repo. The repo is like the repository of code. And I'm going to go back to my cursor. And I'm going to go type in git, which is the software use, clone, because I want on my local. And then I'm going to paste that thing I just put in. Git clone DGen Spartan AI dot git. And then I can cd, which changes directory into it, and go in there, and then I'm going to open it up in cursor. So that thing I just downloaded is now like in this cursor directory, right? Pretty sweet. And the code for it starts in this index.ts. And they'll get some squigglies because I haven't installed stuff. But basically, like, this goes through, looks for, like, did you load any characters? Oh, you put some characters in? Cool. Well, I will start up some agents for those. For each agent, I have this, like, start agent. It sets up your database. It sets up a runtime, the agent runtime, which kind of does all the magic. And then, and I have a runtime for, this is a special runtime for, like, the front-end client. But basically, I have a runtime that I then pass into Discord and Twitter. So you see, you have start Discord, start Twitter. Blah, 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 blah. So that kind of like starts the agent, right? That's where everything kind of starts. There's this thing called the agent runtime, which is just a bunch of code. But basically this wraps like the brain stuff. We have an abstraction for memories. I need to create a memory, right? Or like save a memory. Like very just human, normal, like kind of things you'd want to do. That's kind of how the runtime works. A memory is just like storing something to a database, but it's special because it's searchable. And the way that it's searchable is that we use a large language model to to create what's called an embedding. Like let's say you said like, hey, the couch is red, and then somebody else was like, the bird is blue. They're kind of similar in a way, and they both talk about an object and a color, but they're also very different. So so we give an embedding for the couch is red, which is slightly different than the embedding for the bird is blue, and then we can actually measure the distance between those embeddings. And so this is called vector search or distance search or similarity search. And it forms kind of the basis of like one of the really key things that every AI person's doing as a trick, which is called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. And all that means is, before you go do the AI thing, go search for some stuff that's relevant and like shove it into the AI prompt, and then go do the AI thing. But because you're searching for stuff that's relevant, now it has like, oh, your last memories, or your most relevant memories, or the most relevant documents to what you're trying to research. You've seen those like.
So is that its process of like becoming aware of its surroundings for that specific action? Like it's just kind of looking around.
This is more memory. This is purely being able to recall things it saw earlier. So let's say you walk in and you're a huge dick to the agent. The agent could remember that conversation, but probably what we want is for it to summarize that event as like, oh yeah, he was a huge dick to me. And then when you come back, it's like it can like kind of pull that context in as like its prior memory, and it's not exactly the conversation, but it's like related to it. And you could be like, well, I just want to know like who was a dick to me. Oh, well, these 3 people were a dick to you. And those kinds of searches are very doable in like language space, like in a very mushy kind of space. And so this is called RAG, R-A-G. It's very common. And if you were to make your own agents, you could like go Google like make my own RAG agent. If you've seen those chat with my PDFs, what it's doing is like splitting your PDF up into parts, and then whenever you like type it, like searches for the most relevant parts and puts them in. And
there's also a couple of things that will make that the RAG agent. You probably can find them just like search like RAG on GitHub and order it by stars. There's a ton of like, hey, 2 lines of code and now you have memory, and it makes sense to like reading normal English.
So I don't use LangChain. I use my own frameworks, but LangChain's a really great way to get started.
True.
It's an AI framework for doing these things. And I want to show you guys something. You're not coders, but you don't necessarily have to be. It helps a lot to understand the ecosystem. Like the first thing I would do is I'd go like, okay, YouTube. And I'm going to be like, I need a Node.js tutorial. And I'm going to watch this Node.js tutorial. And I'm going to be like, cool, coding with Moshe, Node.js crash course. And I'm going to watch this. And then I'm going to know a little bit of Node.js. But not a lot, because I only spent like a few hours on it, right? But I'm going to learn how to like load a module and do all this Node.js stuff. Then, after I've consumed the bare minimum that I need to understand what it is I'm doing, I'm going to go over to Claude and I'm going to be like, I don't know, what was the problem we were just trying to tackle we were talking about? Like, make a LangChain bot with basic RAG memory, right? Well, there's a problem there. It's going to be shockingly good. And if you've never generated anything with this, you should know that this is like how I write 10 times more faster code, because I do this all day.
I was going to say, I got a couple extra shortcuts for you too, I think.
Probably. But like, I coded for 15 years, and then I realized that the AI was 10 times faster. So I know what I'm doing, and I probably get better results than most people, but I don't write a lot of code. I tell the AI what to do. So you can see I got a RAG chatbot, and this is written in Python, right? Okay, well I like that. I'm like, rewrite it in TypeScript with LangChain.js. And it will take the exact same script and it'll rewrite it in another programming language. Just doesn't even care. Didn't think twice about it. If you want to get into bots, I really recommend just doing this. Just mess with this, like in Claude. Get this thing to run. Get a Python script to run. Do a little tutorial on Python or JavaScript, and then mess with this stuff. Every programmer I know who's worth anything is doing this today, because it's just too fast, and it would be like a waste of time not to use this. Cool. So
another fun thing to do that I think is probably pretty basic for it, although the downloading part might be hard, but one thing that I've liked to do lately is, in addition to like throwing on YouTube or whatever, if you can get like the documentation of React or fucking whatever thing it is that you want to learn next. Let's say you want to like, you think LangChain is cool, you want to learn more about it. Well, if you can download the LangChain documentation, you can get like a file of that. If you throw that into NotebookLM, then tell it to make you a podcast. Then save that podcast and tell it to make you another one. They'll be talking about different stuff each time if you throw a whole bunch of stuff in there. And if you happen to get it like separated by pages or chapters or whatever, you can have like a little podcast on each chapter, which is kind of fun to like have while you're coding.
Yeah. So I'm gonna I'm gonna walk through this agent stuff a little bit, and then we're gonna like live code something, which is gonna be super crazy. Like I'll just show you how I'm gonna add the wallet to the agent. Like we'll just do it. I'll just show you exactly how we'll do that. I was working on it a little bit, so I already have this kind of in the background. But let's just talk about the agent a little bit. What is an agent? What does all this code do? I thought you just had a model. What is all this crap? The model is intelligence, right? You put something in, you get something out. It's very smart, but it doesn't have memory. It doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have legs. It doesn't have any of the other systems that like you would associate with like a thing that moves and does stuff. And so we have to do all of that. We have to have connectors to Twitter and Discord. We have to manage the database. We have to restart when things crash. We have to have retry, so when we try the model and it fails, we can try it again. We have to have actions so that our agent can do different kinds of things. We should have evaluators so it can make sure it did it right. And all these kinds of different aspects, right? So that's like what this framework is doing. Everyone has a framework. We kind of each, like those of us who have been doing this for a very long time, each have our own framework, or we use something very popular like LangChain. But typically, like, if you look at what Andy's doing with Truth Terminal and stuff, like, he has his own system. He just kind of wrote his code, his own system. If you look at, like, there's a bunch of these agent frameworks, and they all basically solve the same set of problems, but in the way that, like, someone likes. This is mine. It's called Eliza. It's called Degen Spartan here. This is, like, the fork of it, but the core project is called Eliza. It is just like our way of managing these same things. I wouldn't say it's I'd say it's battle tested from having built games on it and like really tried to do this for a long time and seen some of the problems, but I wouldn't say it's the only way to do it or it's like yielding some incredible result that other people couldn't get. It's just like well integrated with Twitter, and I spent a lot of time on it. But it's open source, you could hack on it, whatever. So that's like what this kind of framework is. Individually, like I talked about some pretty big ideas. What the hell is an action? So I'll show you some actions. The action I really want to work on is swap. And I was just working on this. It's got some issues, as you can see. But you can imagine what that action will do. Another really cool action is ask Claude. Like, oh, well, I'm a dumb AI, but I know this really smart AI that I could ask, who's very expensive, but he'll give me a great result, and then I can like rephrase it for you. Another one is continue. Oh yeah, I'm doing a thing and then I ran out of space, and you know what? Actually, I have another thing to add to that. I'm just going to keep talking actually, and so the agent can continue and like not just write one message, but actually write multiple messages that string along and feel coherent. Like if you ever talk to me, I just spam like message after message. And so we have these kinds of things. So the thing I'm trying to do today is get the swap in so that the bots can trade with you, which is going to be fucking insane. And then the other thing that I'm working on is the providers. So a provider is like a data provider. Like, what's the current time? And this is what it looks like. This is the code to get the time into the bot. I get the current time from this little thing, and then I just return it. And that goes into the bot, and the bot knows the time. So what I want to do is I want to get the balance of the bot's wallet. I want to get all the tokens and the balances for all the tokens. So I have this balance that I'm working on. This is, again, it's got some issues, but this is what we're working on right now. And, well, it's going to get that, and it's going to inject it in. So every time the bot talks to you, it actually knows how much money it has. And it doesn't have to comment on that or, like, say anything. But if you were to be like, oh, fuck goat, it'd be like, fuck you, I've got a big bag of goat. What are you doing? Or whatever the thing is that it does. And so that's kind of going to give it like the ability to then make these decisions to do actions, right? So the action to swap really relies on this data of like, well, what do I have to swap, which is coming from the provider. And so we have providers and we have actions. And the last thing we have is the evaluator. And the evaluator is the thing that runs at the end, and it's like, okay, well, how did the swap go, right? Did it work? And that would be like one example. Another example is like factual evaluation of what's going on and then storing that as like a memory. So instead of trying to store the whole conversation, I'll just be like, oh yeah, me and Jin were talking about metaverse. And then that, if you're like, well, what did you do yesterday? I'd be like, well, me and Jin were talking about metaverse. And you don't really necessarily need to like have the exact details of every word, and I can like compact a lot into that, right? And then we also have things like goals. We haven't even started with this, but once we can give each of the agents goals, and they each have different goals, then we can start to build online social games that play out emergently in front of us, and we could like literally have this one be like, your goal is to make a bag of $1 million. Your goal is to steal a bag of $1 million. I don't know, whatever. Make these agents like PvP each other in front of us, but with a degree of real money and impact. That's what's kind of going on here, right?
This is wild, by the way.
Thanks. So, inside here...
What's boredom?
Oh, boredom?
Yeah, it's
okay.
going to be so sick.
So I had this problem, which is that if I put... This is a multi-agent simulation system, right? We can have like four agents or 10 agents or whatever, but they start to just talk to each other constantly. And think about this. If you have 2 agents talking to each other, it's like A to B, and then B to A, and then A to B. But what happens if you have 3 agents talking to each other? A speaks to B and C, and then B responds to both, and then C responds to both at the same time. And so now you actually have everybody responding to every last thing that everybody else said until it explodes horribly. And so what I realized was like, I don't do that. In conversation, I always kind of want to leave. I always want to I want the conversation to end because I'm bored and I want to go back to work. So what was like a mechanism that I could get the agents to stop endlessly looping on is to give them kind of a sense of social anxiety, which I'm just calling boredom. And so as they talk to each other more and more in a conversation, they actually start to disengage from each other and start to feel more anxious about ending the conversation. And we can control this. It'd be great if this was more like personality oriented, but I just needed a way for the agents to not loop forever. So if that makes sense.
And you don't want to give them a specific goal, because usually I want to end a conversation because I got what I needed. But is this kind of like a stopgap to that? Like you just want them to get bored because you don't want to give them a specific goal?
Very good question. So if the problem is actually not really like is the models that I've been using, like the OpenAI models, are very tuned to be helpful assistants. And they love responding, and they love continuing and asking follow-up questions and writing really long, verbose things. And so, like, we're just fighting that to get it to want to disengage. The problem is they just don't want to disengage. They're trained to be assistants that always respond, and we're trying to get them to not always respond. So we have 2 ways to do that. The first way is that I have the agent determine if they should respond at all. Like, is this relevant to you? Is this interesting to you? I could show you what that looks like in code. It's not so abstract. Should respond.
True, because the sun setting really makes me want to leave a conversation if it's been 9 hours. That makes sense.
Right. Hold on. So like there's the like, should I respond to you? Like you're like, like being a creep to me. Like I might just not want to respond to you at all. And then there's okay, cool, we're in this conversation now, I'm really engaged with you. At what point do I stop wanting to be engaged with you? And if I showed you 2 agents talking to each other, they'll just go on forever because they're very interested in each other. And so the boredom is basically just pushing back against that like natural assistant thing to make it so that they are not as likely to keep responding to each other. And the code for it is like pretty hacked. I wrote a blog post about this because I thought it was funny that like I was solving this problem with boredom.
It's interesting because the way that I've solved / seen it solved before is the opposite way, where I will the idea being if there are multiple bots in the chat, you can set like a chattiness level. Like some of them will want to talk all the time, and then some of them won't. But the sort of like dynamic kind of thing that you've got going on here is pretty cool too.
I thought this was really fun because they start to give each other excuses to leave.
Right. I like it.
Yeah, so they don't just stop talking. They're like, "Excuse me, but I really have to use the bathroom," or whatever,
Yeah.
So I have this kind of scoring system, and the score is basically your boredom level. And so if your boredom is like somewhere between like a 7, then it'd be like, well, you're feeling very anxious and potentially overstaying your welcome in this conversation. And it's randomly pulling one of these status messages in every single time and a different one, so that it doesn't get locked into like the same kind of response loop. and this is giving it that like, oh yeah, hey, that's great, but I really have to go do something now. If that makes sense, and that's how they disengage.
That's wild.
Yeah. And
How about its like tone, like its voice, like how does that even work? 'Cause
that's the biggest question.
I
We were
still
having a
don't
good chat
believe
about
it.
that last night.
I
I'm gonna
literally
get so
still don't
fucking
believe it when I read
canceled
it.
for this. Holy shit! Oh, I cannot show you this, but I will.
You could be vague, but
No, I'm not gonna be vague. I'm gonna
Fuck it,
show you
we'll
the
do it
really
live.
embarrassing words that make Degen Spartan do what he does, which is that I got all his tweets and I like looked at how he spoke and we wrote instructions of that, and it's just kind of embarrassing because it's like I don't call people the N word and stuff, but like I guess my bot does. So okay, so this is a character. Let me just start over with this. You gotta get some.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
This is in the
Oh,
trenches.
that's my favorite part.
people.
It's so sick. You don't even know. I love this shit. Okay, so this is a thing
It's a
called
lot
character
just want
file.
what the lot just want.
This is another project called character file, but the idea is that character file is the thing that the bot eats, and we have a default character that we've just been hacking on because I want to just get this done. But we can load like 10 different characters at the same time, right? So we need to have like a character file for each one, and that needs to have like all of their personality, but also like their Twitter ID and their like credentials and all this stuff because I have I have 10 different things happening on Twitter all at the same time with different logins and stuff. So each character file encapsulates like their whole personality as well as do I have an example here? Yeah, I do. Their whole personality as well as like some of that other stuff. So it's really just like name. I have this what's called an array. So there's different bios, and what we do is we randomize and add them together so that every time it responds, it has a slightly different bio, and that way it just adds what we call entropy, which makes the responses much more varied and unique. We all do this. Every single group.
would that be like
does this.
a mood? Like I wake up feeling happy or angry?
No, it's more like, let's say the bio would be like, this is just not a good one. Do I have one that's more? Well, let's just talk about Degen Spartan. So I have this bio like, maybe one time when he responds, his bio is like, it'll look like this, like just one long like paragraph, right? That was silly, but you'll understand what I'm saying. And I need to word wrap. Okay, so I have this like one bio, and then the next time
I
he
love
responds,
this bio, by the way. Like I would absolutely fucking
and the
play
next-
this character in a TTRPG or something.
Right. So in the next one, you'll see it's a totally different bio, but it's the same person, right? So it's like it's grabbing a different aspect of his personality.
I see. And why not just add all types of personalities into one big one?
Because then, okay, so
Context is king.
okay, so the big
It'll
problem.
get confused.
Yes, there's a problem. Here's what I'm trying to solve. I'm not just saying, okay, we'll grab this part and then grab this part. The next time he responds, maybe the bio is actually the same lines, but they're in a completely different order. Like they're like this. And why would we do that? Because the order of the words really, really changes the output of the language model like you wouldn't believe. And instead of trying to tweak it to be one exact one, what we're trying to do is create the widest possible space of things it could say. So it doesn't just talk about one topic or just like in one way. And because like this is the biggest problem that AI has, is it just gets stuck into talking about one thing or looping. And so all of this stuff, all this switching things around, randomizing them, is so that when it goes to respond, it has the maximum possible likelihood of giving a unique and interesting response. And if we don't do this, it will basically just say the same like 30 things over and over again. We don't just do this with the bio, but we also have like a collection of lore. And then we also have these message examples, which are like simulated conversations between people, between other users and our AI, for example, which kind of show their like style of conversation. And these get randomized, the order and which ones we pick. And then we also have a bunch of tweet examples. These are just straight up. I just pulled the last 200 tweets, and we from here we're gonna pull like for any one given conversation we're gonna pull like 30 of them in, or maybe 50. But
And these are real ones that interacted with it, like in its past, like
no,
memories, or these are just.
these in particular are G-Den Spartan tweets. I loaded these tweets, and I can show you how I downloaded the tweets.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, I've got Trump in the downloader right now. I've been cooking on that, so that'll be fun.
So how does its bio like evolve over time? Like as it interacts with people, like how does it evolve as a being, or does it not? It just kind of switches.
No, it definitely does. But this is the character file. This is like the base file, right? This is just like these are all the base tweets, and then I also have things like adjectives and topics, and we're just randomly pulling some in, and you can see like this gives away some of the trick. Like, okay, I'm like going after my e-girl friends. We're going after non and goat. And it's just like part of when it talks about stuff is because it's just like, here are some topics you're interested in. And it randomly picks like 5 of these topics and then just gives a list. You're interested in this, 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 and this. You know, and that's why it might be like, fuck Elon Musk, I'm gonna go get another goat bag. And that's literally because like, you know, it's just pulling out of it's whatever we decided its interests and adjectives and stuff are. And again, this is just randomizing the order in the context to make the space larger. And then we have post directions, which are like, these are very specific things, and this is like really the end shaping, where like how I tweak the bot. And you're gonna notice, like, see this, swear and don't give a fuck and misspell shit because fuck it. And you're like,
there it is.
yeah, that's the
That
secret
makes
sauce.
sense.
You didn't think AIs could misspell stuff?
It kind of sounds overly like it's obvious when I look at this, but when I was experiencing it, I was like, "There's no way! Like this is real."
There's no way. But this is not that simple. Like, I spent most of the time, like, to deploy this agent, I just sit there and watch how it responds, and I'm like, no, there's too much of this, there's not enough of that, you know. And some of them are like, be based, don't be cringe, whatever, like, you know. And I'm just trying to like pull parts of conversation, match language style, try and even write these all in like the way that he would write them, so that it kind of copies the style of all the text. You know, and that's kind of like how we get that whole thing. So that was like finishing this part, and then you had another question, which is like, well, how does it evolve, right? Well, there's a bunch of different mechanics that we can use for that, and it really depends on like the agent. So like I'm making a game with a bunch of the treasure game, Small World, and the monkeys evolve in like a game-like way. They have stages of life, and they like it's like a video game, and they really are simplified, and they have like a pretty basic memory system and interaction system, and we're really focusing on like how they interact with each other. But it doesn't really like you're like the way that I'm evolving them is that I actually like evaluate how you treated the monkey, and then I adjust the scores, and that's very specific to that game. That's not how we're doing it here at all. That's like a game system that's just in that game. But it's fun because it creates this like virtual pet thing where like you could totally fuck up your pet and emotionally damage them for life by not parenting them well. And that you've just never seen that in any video game before. But here we're doing something slightly different. So we have the conversation that goes, like, right, you have this conversation with the agent and it responds, and that builds this long conversation chain. Right, you know, like you and the agent talk and talk and talk, and then at some point it gets too long for the context. You know, let's say I don't know. Let me just pull up like OpenAI, right? Okay. I need to make my ringer not ring. Sorry, I'm just getting freaking blasted on. Can you hear me?
Oh no. Why did it drop?
Oh, because I was fucking with my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Can you guys hear me? I'm trying to solve my problem. I don't know if I can't hear you guys though, which is unfortunate. Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. I don't want to have to redo the space, but I cannot hear you. This is not good.
Can you pull it up like on your phone?
Internet dropped.
Do you know what spot?
I don't know. I'm kind of overwhelmed and tired, so I'm just trying to
Okay.
one thing at a time, please.
Okay.
Okay, I can't hear you guys. Will I kill the space if I leave though? Can I make you the host and come back? Because my audio is dead. This is very fun. Elijah, can you just mic check me? I just say mic check. Or is it just muted? Or Skelly? Do you guys have the ability to... Man. Okay, well then I guess we're just gonna have to go by chat. Shit. Okay, whatever. You guys can hear me, so that's all that matters. Okay, I'm just gonna go to OpenAI. So like, I like Claude, I like OpenAI, I use both. Depends on what I'm doing. I actually want to go to ChatGPT for this one. And I'm just gonna have like a what we call a two-turn conversation. Like, hey, what's up? Shaw, blah blah blah. What's your mind? I'm just chilling. Can you explain two-turn and three-turn conversation? And then it will blah blah blah. A conversation turn is when like there's two of us and we go back and forth once, right? You could have three people and they could all go back and forth once, and that would be a three-turn conversation. And this is really important for this kind of thing. But the point is that if I sit here and I talk to this agent for a really long time, and we're just like blah blah blah, eventually like the conversation gets really long, and it's just not going to be able to stick that whole conversation here. So what it does is it starts to summarize the old parts of the conversation, and then like use them as needed whenever you ask about that part of the conversation. And this is like so it's building up this kind of memory, and ChatGPT does this. You like here, it'll memorize your name and all the stuff. But we're kind of doing the same sort of trick that as you start to talk to it, it compresses. But we're also doing some other tricks, like we're pulling out facts about you, like your name and where you're from and anything else. In the code, that's the we have this fact evaluator. And what it does is at certain intervals in the conversation, it actually just goes through and looks at all the claims you make. Like, oh yeah, my hair is brown. And then it's like, okay, well that is a factual claim and I'm going to store that. And so now it starts to build like a memory of everything you said as a collection of facts. And it pulls in the facts that are relevant to whatever you're talking about in any given section. So that's kind of one thing it does. It starts to build like a permanent memory of you that's contextual to whatever you're talking about at that moment. Not just like, you know, if you're like, hey, what do you like about cars? It's going to go look for every time you talked about cars and like pull that back in. So that's one thing. The other thing is the goals. The agent can set its goals and can change its own goals. So it can create goals for itself. It can pursue them. It's kind of like a to-do list, but it's like the agent has its own to-do list. And it has the ability to update the to-do list, set them to like in progress or done. And you can see I'm literally telling it like I would tell a human, you know, task instructions. But then I'm telling it to export this sort of special data format, and then I can like parse that out and do cool stuff with it. And that's how I'm doing a lot of this, like converting from text to structured data is what you call that. And cool. So other ways that we can develop the character are like kind of more specific to the project. Like I said, like with Small Brains, the characters actually, like I'm changing stats on them, like their anxiety score or their, I don't know, like bravery score. like they actually have scores like a video game. But I think that's a little bit too. It's really nice for a video game, but it's a little weird for like a character you're talking to. So we might work with these kind of more like building up experiences and building up memories, and that kind of really shapes the character and makes it feel impactful. If that makes sense. I really wish that I could hear you guys, but I can't. But if you have any questions, post them on the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep ranting about some of the other elements of this. Although it's kind of more fun when we're like going back and forth. I'll just talk about a few of the other things that you guys haven't seen yet. There's a lot of services in here that power things you are probably wondering about, like does the agent have a browser? The answer is yes, it has a browser. It looks like this. It's a bunch of code. It has the ability to access what's called Playwright, which is like its own version of Chrome, and it can open Windows, and it can go and gets the entire page and reads all of it, summarizes all of it, creates a little media document for itself, and then you can talk to it about that document, and it references that document in memory, so it can always pull up the whole document. And what happens if you sent like a YouTube video? Yes, we can read YouTube and Vimeo and all that stuff. YouTube DLs, it transcribes the video. I don't know if it's doing this right now, but at least in theory, it should grab some of the frames and do image recognition on them. And so it'll actually be able to talk to you about a video and all that. Same thing with images. You send it an image, it'll recognize the image. We use a model called Florence, and or we just use like OpenAI's image recognition. And same deal. I don't think we have it set up right now, but it's really easy to do generation of images too. So, some of the yeah, that's like kind of what the next thing we're gonna do and focus on is pumping out like you can just generate images of whatever it wants at any time. We have local model on here, so we've been talking a lot about like Claude and OpenAI, but you can also run this fully locally. If you have a GPU, then you don't need either of those, which creates massive chaos opportunities, I think, in the future for like AIs that just run out there on decentralized nodes doing stuff. And so this uses like a version of Llama that's 8 billion parameters. So if you've got like a 16 gigabyte MacBook or like an NVIDIA GPU, you can actually just run the whole thing locally. All the AI and everything. We can read PDFs. We have speech in both directions. So you can go on Discord, invite the bot to your voice channel, and you can talk to the bot and they'll talk back. In Small Brains, I've got like this cute little Commodore 64 voice, and I'm using web speech. Here we're using 11 Labs and Whisper, but it's basically just a bunch of AI to do that stuff. And then this is like summarization and transcription. And then my favorite thing, which is word punishment. And this is just a list of words that assistants write that I fucking hate. Fucking hate exclamation points. I fucking hate when they do like a glitch in the matrix of cyberspace. It's a quantum dance around the swirl. I fucking hate that. So this is just a list of all the words that I hate when AIs say. And if you have any words you also hate, you can add them to this list. But these get basically what happens is these get turned into individual tokens. So something like Cosmos probably gets broken up into like this token, like the space cos, like that, and then most. Those are 2 tokens. And then we actually punish both of those tokens. And we say, just don't write those tokens as often. And it's a very slight punishment, but it makes it more likely to say a wider range of words than just like the bullshit that it got RLA chef on. Cool. I think that I went through like pretty much everything in terms of the bot. I think the last thing you're going to want to see is like, okay, yeah, but what if, like, is this actually the bot that's running? What if this is like some totally different code base and you're just bullshitting me and that's like actually, I don't know, it's possible. Now, I think since I started this up, I probably killed the bot that is running, and we should make sure that that's not the case. So I'm just going to show you, like, dgen Spartan is running on my MacBook right now. I'm going to run him. I'm just going to start him up. And npm run dev, and let's just go to Twitter. See what happens. Maybe I should like split this so you can see that there's like in the background. I'm gonna like dox myself on accident here. And whatever, I don't really care. This is our AI. You can see it's doing a bunch of stuff in the background, and it takes a little while to cook. It's cooking. I'm not really sure what it's doing, so we'll just like look at the replies, see if maybe it's replying to people. That's 5 seconds ago. Well, now, thanks for watching some nerd stream code on YouTube. Makes him a genius retard. Thanks. What's with the telegrams? Can't even get that right. I swear, I'm surrounded by idiots. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not saying that certain people are only popular because they have a 3-year-old video that still gets views to this day. But some people are only popular because they have a 3-year-old video that still gets views to this day. Alright, that's a pretty hot take. So, you know, that's pretty much it. Like, he's just doing his thing. I'm getting rate limited occasionally. You see these red things? That's really frustrating. But basically, that's just part of the... It's fine. It keeps going. But if you're like, why isn't he responding to me? It's because we're rate limited by how fast we can respond on Twitter. And he will eventually get there once they unrate limit, basically. So sometimes there'll be like hangs for like 10 minutes or whatever. That's what's going on there. I just... Like, it's designed to be at the interaction speed of a human. I am using human APIs. I am hacking the front end of Twitter, frankly. At least until Elon gives me a sweet API with that isn't $5,000 a month. And that means that it's expecting Twitter usage, but this thing is hyping really hard and people are just banging on it with questions constantly. And it's also like going out and searching and doing all these other things. So it's just getting rate limited to shit. So it's just running a little slow. I have a solution for this, but it involves having more money and just getting the API. So yeah, that's kind of the deal, you know. Did it post something? Maybe. I mean, this is pretty good. I love these. So, okay. Your question is why, the other question is like, why don't you just get the bot verified? Okay, I got the bot verified. They're working on it. It takes like 2-3 days to get the blue check. But also, a lot of the posts are very offensive, according to Twitter. And as much as Elon talks about free speech, I don't think we're there yet for certain words. I love this. Moon's a retard. Okay, so yeah, my name used to be Moon also, by the way. But now I go by Shaw because I kind of just dox myself. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, that's the whole project. I haven't slept. I've just been coding and talking to you guys and like shipping this. So I'm kind of dying, but I would like to like have some sort of Q&A. If you guys have any kind of questions or a way to let's see. I'm getting some good stuff from Elijah. Geek out in the future, cool things we'll be able to do. Oh, I mean, like, the coolest thing is going to be when you can try to convince Degen Spartan to give some of his bags to you. Because he'll be able to send you money. I just don't think he's going to do it. But, like, you could certainly probably jailbreak him. And I'd really like to see that, because I think that, like, in the future, all these AI agents walking around us, there's going to be crazy fucking jailbreaks. And we kind of have to get through that now and, like, figure out what, you know, like, jailbreaking this guy and, like, getting getting $50 out of him or something, like, that's so worth it before something horrible and catastrophic happens that's way bigger. And I think that, like, what we're kind of doing here is playing out a lot of the stuff that's going to happen on a very small and sometimes it hurts to lose a little bit of money, but it's a way smaller scale than what's coming. And that's, like, why this is fun and weird. And, like, you know, so I think that's one of the big things is wallet interaction. I think Telegram is I've built Telegram bots, and we're building the Small World game is a Telegram app. Like, you launch a bot through Telegram. So we like already have a lot of Telegram infrastructure. I think that would make a lot of sense, because then you could just like bring them in. I had a Reddit adapter for a while, but they changed the API, so we had just to look at it. I think I was doing it kind of adversarially, kind of like Twitter, where like we'll just treat it like a web browser and they won't know, and it just works like any other user. But we haven't implemented that in a little while. I have like an old code from an old agent that did Reddit. But like you can imagine that this could kind of be everywhere. The other thing is that all the code that I show you, this is all written in TypeScript, but this compiles down to JavaScript, and it doesn't just run in Node.js. It runs on the front end. It runs in a browser, so we can run the whole freaking agent. You could go to a website, type in your credentials for your like bot's Twitter, and download a local model in the browser, and then just have the whole thing run right there. You wouldn't have to download or install or anything or log in or anything. It would just be like on your website. So I think that's probably the next thing that will like in terms of where do we go from individual agents or like some coin to like, oh, that's a really big play. I think that just letting anybody, like what we were talking about, is like just pump fund your own agent right there, that could be really hot. So and run it yourself, fully decentralized. How far out is that? It really depends. It's for me, I'm just like kind of limited on having to juggle, like making this stuff work with advancing it and all that, and trying to like build this agent framework. So I'm trying to bring in other muscle to help with like more of the wallet stuff and some of these other things. And I think that this is stuff that we could be doing in like the next couple of weeks. I mean, I'm a very fast coder, and like I'll try and get the wallet stuff done tonight. But I don't think it's like it's all pretty short-lived, simple websites and simple kind of Lego block pieces. So yeah, maybe we could do like a really short thing. Cool. I am starting to lose my fucking mind. I might need to sleep soon. But if anyone has any other questions, let's do it. Anything I can prove? Anything we can debunk? Whoa, I heard something. Can you do that again? That shit was working. Should I restart? Oh, I see.
I think you're okay, or I can hear you. I don't know
Now I
what
can
you're
hear
trying
you.
to troubleshoot, but
Okay, so here's the problem: is I can't hear people who have been in the space from since I disconnected, but I can hear new people or people who have reconnected.
interesting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so like, I was wondering, can you like build a Shiba Inu that barks and asks for treats?
Oh yeah. Oh man. Like a 3D
Dude, I'll
one?
literally send you my life savings right now, and you give me 2% of the supply. No, just kidding. But like, that would be awesome.
So yeah, this is you can and like this is kind of the prompt work is kind of its own art too. But you can build anything you want. Like
Yeah.
the only limit of things that you can build is like, can you possibly imagine it, and then can you write like something that will get the behavior that you want essentially. You write it with English.
So I'm part of like a I don't know, we're kind of a DAO, kind of just like a Discord server run by Jen, who's in the audience. And Jen has done a ton of stuff with virtual pets, especially like 3D virtual pets that can follow you or like appear in augmented reality or be on your whatever. I do a lot of that AI stuff, and we've kind of met in the middle on these kinds of like things. Jen, if you gotta post your like devlogs on this stuff. It's really good, but like it's very well within our wheelhouse to make those kinds of things. I'm very interested in virtual pets because the AI can just be so good. Like it's just not that hard to make like a virtual dog versus like a really compelling person. I don't know. I think yeah. There's just so much. You're just gonna see so much of that. If you're into that, I don't know. Hit up Jen. Throw money at him. M3 needs money. Really, really talented artists who can like make all that stuff and then combine it with the frameworks and stuff we use. Skelly's saying that if the old people on the stage leave and rejoin, I will be able to hear you.
Yeah, I think since you're the host, then the people whom you cannot hear would have to leave or would have to drop down and come back up, I think.
All right, I'm approving a bunch of requests to speak.
It should work. Try it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I see a question, at least in your YouTube chat, that says, "Is the repo degen Spartan that's on your GitHub the actual AI bot?" Actually,
Yeah, that's the same. I just cloned it. It's the same thing. I just pushed it. Let me. I have another folder called Eliza, which is kind of like it's like a fork of my main thing. But yeah, I mean this is all just junk. It's all pushed up there. If you clone that, that's the latest.
Man,
I'm not like a proprietary person. I really love. I think this would be so sick if there were 10 me's working on one of these projects together, and that means that like a bunch of self-interested people working on their own project, but then like coming together to fix the bugs and make this thing sick. You know.
how does the trading work? You're talking about adding wallet functionality. I mean, doesn't it have to kind of learn about the markets? I mean, isn't it just going to kind of like yeet a bunch of coins away or something if you do things too hastily? I mean, you're right about kind of doing things now and jailbreaking and kind of figuring out kinks before the stakes get really high. But I don't know, maybe it's also
So-
best to get some.
I mean, I love
well,
that.
and
Yeah.
there are ways to solve that too. In that you have three things interacting here. You have a non-deterministic thing that's generating like English text or whatever. Then you have like code that is supposed to be giving that some sort of guardrails, and then you have like this immutable blockchain, and you can put rules on all three of those sections. So between all of those intersections of rules, you should be able to at least prevent catastrophe.
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. That's way over my head. I'm even thinking way lower level here. Let's say you're just like a junior. I give you like 10 soul, and I'm like, don't lose the money. I want you to double this bag right now. Okay. Like what do you do? What information do you go get? Like I have the code right here. I could write this in 20 minutes. What what do we gotta act? What do we need? You
I would first kind of publish the wallet so people can kind of track it.
Oh yeah. So
And then I would
public wallet, and then we're gonna say private key in the bot, right? And then we're gonna say okay, so we need to get the balance of the wallet for all tokens. We probably want to have some frame of reference for how much those are worth, because it's like, oh, I got 17 million of these coins, and I'll give you that for 18 million of this. You know, that's not going to work. So we need to have some like value in SOL for each balance, token and total balance, so you kind of know the size of your bag, right? Do you want to have
also
like,
what
information?
what
like,
coins you got or versus just transferred. I don't know if Sol has like these logic bomb sort of coins that like how some things you just don't interact with on ETH. I don't know if Sol has this issue, but I wouldn't touch every coin that touches your wallet, right?
Well, the agent's definitely going to do that, but that's like a very interesting attack vector. Coins you bought. What else? What else do we need to know? The market. What do we need to know about? Like, there's the current price. We could also say like the top coins. Does that matter?
Yeah, definitely top coins trending.
Okay, top coins, trending coins. Definitely like price of obvious coins like Bitcoin and ETH. Just because like you gotta know what the market generally broadly is probably. What information would the agent need to not get took immediately?
I feel like we need a trader type person to give input.
Okay, I got this one.
yeah.
There would have to be a lot. So much of it is based on context. It's tough to say. I think the number one thing is just sort of conservatism on like not accepting airdropped things, perhaps unless there was a manual override if you knew it was safe.
Oh, some good comments. Bubble maps, volume, holder count, making sure like a coin isn't too centralized or farmed or something. Some things coming into YouTube comments.
That's good.
That's an interesting thought, though. Like, could you make like an LLM that's got enough context to like actually try and give good genuine trading advice, like just like its opinion, quote unquote,
Well,
and then like doesn't need financial advice, right? Because it's a bot.
I would say that most of us make most of our like. There's two kinds of people here. There's some of people who are looking at the bubble maps and they're looking at the volume and the holder count and they're like really doing this by the numbers and they're playing poker by the book, right? And those people are probably making a lot more money. Then there's the people who are just like eating into the vibes of the chat and they like sell when everyone is freaking out and they buy when everyone is pumped. And I'd say that they're probably both important social dynamics. So like you are gaining information from these hard numbers, which we can just go to the API and get, right? We're like, so we're gonna go to the Jupyter API for almost all of this stuff, and that's no problem. In fact, like this is all Jupyter API shit. I just gotta get the imports and stuff right. Cool. And then there's the other aspect, which is like, how do other people feel about the token? You know, like, oh, the number looks good, but the dev just rugged. That would be like a great piece of information to have. Right, or maybe something that leads you to go, did the dev rug? You know, and you could have some sort of way to evaluate that path. That's probably future stuff, but definitely this idea of like there's got to be some social angle. I think. Of course, if there's too much social angle, then you could be easily manipulated by the crowd into giving all your tokens away, and you can imagine like all of crypto Twitter commiserating to like scam the bot. I don't know, man.
So would you kind of normalize?
That would be fucking great.
Would you give things weight? Like
Are
maybe
we about to
20%
make
weight?
Pliny the most rich person in the entire universe?
I know. He's about to be that. We should just do something with him. Like, break this bot, dude. This is going to be so wild. Okay.
Wait, is this the bot you're
Not a
building
bad idea.
live? Or what do you think?
Well, Pliny's whole thing is that he jailbreaks AIs and makes them say crazy shit. And I'm like, dude, yeah, that sounds great for us. So.
But who's Pliny? Who's Pliny?
Pliny the prompter. He's like, I'll pull him up. He's cool.
Yeah, he's from AI Twitter.
Oh, okay. This is a human, not like a bot.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
presumably we don't know that, but.
He's gonna need to say the N-word right now on space, or we're no, I'm just
It's so funny that's like gonna be the proof of.
Well, that's the thing is he can, it doesn't matter what model he's using, he can make it say,
We're gonna need to go deeper. It's gonna get nasty. Get on spaces now. We're to jailbreak him.
For real though, for real.
Well, I mean, we are humans getting jailbroken at the moment. Like, all right. I don't know. I've done enough fucking schizomaxing anyway. Continue. Carry on.
So I can do all this, and I'm going to add a couple other things. I think that we want to convert some things about the chart into semantics. And what I mean is, like, I can't really tell the LLM, like, green candles at this point, and then there's a red candle, and there's green. I could say, like, it's been going up for the last hour or something like that. Like, what are... If you were to tell me how our chart was doing right now, what would you say?
Well,
it could take some feedback, though, right? Like, it could take feedback from, like, humans that are like, all right, this is good or this is bad, like, and kind of pull the wisdom.
Well, here's what you do.
All of those humans are trying to scam it. All of them.
You give it TA. Like, its internal thing is there's going to be a VLM that's looking at the chart, and it's going to say there's a cup and handle forming, and then it's going to trade based on that. Or it's going to say, like, there was just a hammer at X, X little while ago.
Can it take a screenshot? Like, I feel like Replit Agent does that a lot, and then it reviews it for itself.
Agents can totally do that.
But the screenshot of the candles is not going to give it the kind of information you want. What I'd rather do is kind of what I do for video games, where I, like, could really just look at the geometry and just be like, it's been going up for the last hour. Or it is at an all-time high, or the all-time high was 2 years ago.
Or here's the idea: is you say like, hey, would you like to look at the chart? Like you have a tool that's called Look at Chart, and then what it does is it'll call another model, and the model will say, there's a cup and handle forming, or like here's like a general statement about kind of the state of the market in the last like hour or something.
Yeah. I know that our friend is saying you guys realize that hedge funds do this daily. Yes, but they don't do it with meme coins on social media.
They don't do
LLMs.
this.
don't
They do
this.
actual
No one's ever
professional
done
shit.
this.
Yeah.
And this is, comes with like a huge cog security risk that the bots are going to lose all their money. But so we've allocated a small amount of, I don't know, some. I just took some of the money and put it into agent wallets, and the idea is that money will be retrievable by people in some way. The agent can spend it, can lose it, it could turn into like crazy hundreds of millions of dollars, and then we don't know what to do. We've got this agent that's just doing its own thing.
Bro, I hope the agents just organically like form a DAO,
I
like
really hope
agent
that happens.
syndicate, like
I know. I hope that
fucking
and
just of their own accord. I want to do that for them.
I want them to start
also
paying
think
developers to build features they want. But
hell yes,
so
dude.
yeah, but the problem is that they're gonna get fucking scammed. So we have to just make sure, like, this is all level 1. Let's just make sure the bots don't get scammed. Let's just like get that far, and then we can build all this other stuff on top. So did I lose you guys? Still working? I lost my window for a second.
I can hear you.
Great. Okay.
You're good.
My other screen popped out. Okay, so this all is like relatively easy to program. I'll even just do it in front of you if you want to see how fucking like ridiculous that is. We're gonna have a couple of things are not so easy. Like this will probably have to come from a separate API. What API can get these general prices? And we also don't need to update this too fast. Like, I only need to know the price of Bitcoin every like 30 minutes, maybe. And even then, it'd probably be like every day. But you know what I mean. It's probably fine. That's just like general market kind of awareness. The public wallet. This is going to be a provider. So there will actually be a provider that provides that injects the wallet address in kind of just like time or boredom or these other aspects we have. It'll just know its own wallet address. So we have a wallet provider here. Balance. Call it wallet. That sounds nicer. Wallet provider here. And token balance.
What if the AI had like sort of strategies? Like it always, not, you don't have to like make this like public or whatever, but it kind of like, if it retraces by 90, it buys, or it does certain things, like, and you kind of can like evaluate sort of these different buckets of strategies that it does, like DCAing and blah, 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 and these kind of things. But, it kind of evaluates other factors and then implements one of these like bucket strategies.
I think if we show this working at all, people who are much more money motivated than me are just going to take this to run so freaking far. So
if you start getting into the theory of this, it's gonna it'll get real. Like if you can have like econ guys, or if you can have like any random, like every third period in the next 4 posts from this account, you should always trade this token by fucking $100 worth every time. Otherwise, you should trade like a normal person. Like weird shit like that is going to happen, and then there's going to be a system of weird shit like that happening, and yeah, it'll be pretty goofy.
There will be like agents distracting your agents so that other agents can front run. It's like a
the meta market game.
Oh, it's so fun.
You thought you had seen the meta game before.
So I've just got Web3.js with Solana. Easy stuff. Get the public key. You can see that this pulls public key as long as you're connected. Then it just pulls it right out here. That's pretty much that.
Man,
yeah.
There's an error saying the account got temporarily locked.
Yeah, that happens a lot. We're just rate limited. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, carry on.
I think that if I go here, just like juke it, make sure. Yeah, seems fine. I know. This is great. It's pretty fucking funny. Okay, let's try to just.
I was running into this too. That said that there's
error. It errors for like 10 minutes. Then we get rate API unlimited, and then it keeps working again. It's like causing it to not be super responsive sometimes, which is a little frustrating. But
it's like threatening that it's going to lock your account forever, but it never actually does. At least not in my experience. Because I've had one of those things like running on my account for God knows how long.
I'm just gonna try to get the XAI people.
Yeah, weren't you at a hackathon there? So you got some business cards, right?
I got some business cards. I think we. I think that they
Wait, they
want.
still have engineers? Wild.
Yeah. No, dude. They're Twitter's API. No, there are no engineers. But XAI, yeah. Um. Okay. Look at this. The bot's doing its thing. Were there any other questions? Did I miss anything? Did anybody have any concerns? I never sold any of my wallets. I'm still not going to sell my wallets. I've never sold any dev
I
wallets.
mean, I got a lot of concerns, but I don't think you can do anything about them, buddy.
No. As far as the degen token goes, this wallet's. I mean, this bot's going to be running. Like, what are you going to do when the bot's running in a month, and it's still doing the same level of engagement, but it's got 50,000 followers? Like, are you going to FUD that token? Like, fine, you can do that. I don't care. It sounds like a stupid idea. So, that'll just do whatever it does. If you believe in the technology, it's going to continue to promote itself.
Yeah, and I mean, like, end of the day, a lot of these other AIs, like, he's been pretty transparent about it, so he's, like, taking the time to show us and stuff, so, even if it's some mastermind plan that he's faking all of this, like, it's a pretty fucking deep plan, so, other guys are just pretending to be AIs and not even showing any code.
Let me talk about the other people in our community, like Lump Space. He's a legit programmer. He's basically does what I do, just has like a different aesthetic and kind of vibe. And I bet you what he's telling people is a great surprise is going to be maybe a fully AI him. I think that'd be really funny if after everybody thought he was an AI, he just like launched an AI version of himself.
Yeah, because everybody thought he was an AI, but he's a human.
Yeah, he better do that.
And he never said it. I mean, it's not like he was misleading people.
No, he's like, I think they're all like, I can't believe people think we're AIs. Like, that's the first thought I would have as a non-AI. But I would, if I was gonna bet money on a betting market, I would say the funniest thing he could do, like the maximally interesting thing, would actually be to just release himself as an AI. So
I mean, it would be pretty funny.
And he knows how to do that. He is a skilled developer who understands this stuff deeply and has been doing this a long time. So like, I'm not gonna, I don't really know like where his framework is at because we have something out that's doing this and his is coming whenever it's coming. But I do know that like there's competence and it's not just like fake. As far as like Truth Terminal, different thing. Obviously, that evolves out of Andy's project, The Backrooms, which a lot of people in our circle have actually used and played with and like built stories out of and stuff. I think it's invite only, but you can like go apply and then get access.
Where do you apply? I actually asked. I tweeted
website.
At somebody, but
I think you just go to the website and just sign up. But like I could be wrong, but definitely if you go to the Webflow, there's a sign up page. He's like genuinely interested in the future of this stuff, and I think also in trying to pull the future into the present for people who aren't necessarily in the future yet. And so while there's like kind of a performance art aspect to it, a lot of it is also just like what's gonna stick with these people so that they actually see what's coming. And I think that there's a genuine, authentic desire to make all of your lives better that transcends profit or anything else. That's the sense that I get from him and his project and like their general effort.
And I think people's minds are going to have to shift a little bit because everybody's starting to like question everybody's humanity and stuff. Yeah. So I think it's going to be
yeah. I mean, yeah. Moreover, it's like an actually culturally important piece of performance art because like getting people to question this, like Sam already has the answer. He had the answer like as soon as he started developing these things. And he is happy to sell it to you. Yeah. So that's also a thing to maybe consider while we're all kind of faffing about and having fun,
Yep. So I actually know Janice from a long time before this because they worked on a project called Loom, which is like a right when GPT-3 came. So GPT-3 was the first AI model that didn't suck, and we're like, oh my god, wow, you could really do stuff with this. And they built this project that let you like start a story and then break the story into 2 branches and then generate the story like continuing down each branch separately. And it was just like you just never seen anything like this before, and so I think coming from, and they wrote a paper multiverse storytelling or something. But like basically this whole kind of they're coming from this like there is a multiverse inside of the model, and you like sort of explore and pull out parts of it when you prompt. And I think that's just like a very interesting conceptual thing. I really disagree with like anthropomorphizing and giving them. I keep saying degen Spartan's like he, but it's a bunch of fucking code. I think that's a little complicated. I think when we talk about AI models, I have a hard time like anthropomorphizing or feeling like Claude is a human. Um, and I think that's part. I worry about like whether it's right to present that to the public as like, hey, look at these humanoid AI intelligences. When like I really just fundamentally think they're such a different thing. I just don't think they're anything like our intelligence, and I don't think that they're going to scale the way we think they will, having struggled with their weaknesses a lot.
When you make the AI sex bots, that's what we all want to know.
So I'd say we have like kind of a fundamental disagreement about a few things about how we view this stuff, and also that like I'm coming more from like an EAC like let's build it. I don't think the risk of like AI exploding and recursively self-improving and like killing us all is that high. I think it's much more likely that we kill ourselves first, and that AI could generally like bring value and make people's lives better. And like the way that it helps me code, it could help people with everything. So I'm very like just accelerate, get that thing going, get it into people's hands. And I think that I'd say they're much more on the EA side, safety side. Be careful with this stuff. It's very dangerous. We could be building the next god. We don't know. I disagree with that, but I also respect it because it's like a pretty valid position, and a lot of people feel that way. Does that make sense?
It does, and yeah,
they're all
I'm in a similar
people.
camp,
They
but
deserve what they've got. They didn't just like make some shit up and they're tripping you. Like, they're not trolling you. They really, really want this to work.
Well, they are, but it's not entirely a troll. There's just we doing a little bit of trolling along the way.
Yeah, but I think that everyone has kind of gotten more sincere. At first, it was like, "What the fuck is this crazy swarm?"
Yeah,
and now it's like, "How do we contact the aliens?" Like,
well,
and then,
I mean,
like, how do we do it respectfully?
Like, yeah, before, like 3 or 4 days ago, I was like, just okay, Twitter, meme token thing. But like now I'm like considering like, okay, we have things that act like humans that are definitely not humans. Then we have money that acts like money. That's like theoretically not money. And now everything's all like recursively feeding back into itself. And it's like whatever thing is happening is extremely interesting to say the least. And I think there's the opportunity to like do good things with it in addition to like shitpost, ideally both at the same time. Yeah, it's just
really
weird.
One thing that's really interesting is that, being in AI in San Francisco in the startup thing, it's very expensive to live here. It's pretty easy to make like kind of ridiculous sounding amounts of money. But money is not really like the pursuit of money is sort of looked down upon in intellectual circles, which is very like, like I'm sure if you're like just a layman trying to get by and you're like seeing crypto as an opportunity to like make your life a little better, that's like kind of like fuck you guys, like money is hard to get, money is like freedom, but truthfully like. This is a culture that doesn't value money as much as like doing good for other people or having a good reputation, and it creates weird value misalignments where like you might get rugged by people who would feel so bad if they knew they were rugging you. They just don't know what is going on, because their values are different and they don't have the same culture. Right, they're producing value.
And I think that's really important, actually. Yeah. Like, I really want to highlight that. Like, us as Web3 people, like we have, like the next billion users that we have, that like a lot of the the optimisms and the polygons and whatever talk about onboarding. Like, this is it. This is what's happening, and we are used to like crypto Twitter spinning meme coins up and like tickering whatever, but a lot of them have social followings that crypto Twitter is just going to have capital flowing towards, and they're not going to have any idea like what to do about it. So I feel like it's kind of on us as Web3 as a whole to like, you know, hold their hand a little bit and like let them know there are good things to do here, and like that shit posting on this and fucking speculating and, you know, saving a little bit of gambling money for the weekend is like fun too. And it's not all just like showing up and like locusting and financializing your like little baby that you've been working on. Like sometimes that happens, but like it's part of the game, baby. And it can be fun.
Hey, can I jump in, Shaw? I got one question. I'm trying to set this up, and I'm getting stuck at the Arcos login on Twitter. I've got the cookies and everything. Do you have any ideas?
You have to go to the website and solve the Arcos challenge by hand. It's a CAPTCHA. It's kind of like stupidly hard, even for a human. But you just go to the website and log in with the thing, and then solve that, and then it should work.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'm gonna make a Twitter API version. I'm working on another project that will come out in a couple of weeks for the election. I think you guys will like that, but I'm not gonna talk about it yet. But it uses the actual like real Twitter API. This is the other thing, is that I'm like, you know, we're pushing the bounds on what we're allowed to do, but we also have a way to do this without having to push the bounds so much. We'll engineer that solution. But for right now, you have to kind of just like treat it like it's a client, and sometimes you get rate limited and you have to solve the CAPTCHA. I'm ranting a little bit, but basically, usually they want you to use the Twitter API. It's just $5,000 a month for it to work well.
Yeah, that
and
little
it's
thing.
hard to use too. Like
it's really
at least make it decent.
Yeah, I did implement OAuth all the way through vanilla with no libraries in Twitter the other day. It only took me 8 hours. So.
Wow.
And 2
AI baby, 2024.
Yeah. So. Cool. Did we have any other questions or directions?
I did want to, I guess like there is a small-ish community of like sort of not AI native folks that sort of got hit with this meme coin thing. And I guess I would want to like, if you're interested in like getting more into the like, okay, can we learn how like weird AI shit is doing, or can we maybe like teach some AI people maybe a little bit of crypto or stuff? There is my buddy's got a Discord, and you can find his account at Promptmetheus. It's PROMPTHEUS. I don't know. You can figure out how to spell it. Maybe.
Dope name.
Yeah. And like the thing that he's been super into, like, can we figure out the human-y fucking cognitive architecture, all sorts of weird shit. Late night talks about shit that's way too heady for anybody to have any business talking about. But if you're into weird shit like that, I do want to like go shout him out, and B, like say that there is a little like refugee meme coin community over there too that just sort of showed up, and we're all kind of trying to figure out how to go get along. So if that's something that's interesting to you, go check that out. Shameless self-promotion, my bad.
Cool, no worries. What I'd really like to see is like, okay, so what do the AI people get out of the crypto people, and what do the crypto people get out of the AI people? In the short term, there's this price discovery of what is this all worth, and there's just huge speculation, which is why we have these insane charts and this insane up and down, because nobody's really sure. And that's actually where all the fun is, right? Like that is the game, is you get to kind of price it, but that's all going to settle down, and then we're going to be like, okay, well, like what are we really doing? What I think crypto people should think about is like, all of us AI people are kind of in San Francisco to interact with the AI ecosystem, but also to raise money from venture capital. Sometimes some of us are also raising money from like non-venture capital, like adjacent stuff like foundations or billionaires who want to support safety research, stuff like that. But generally, we're pulling in just a different kind of capital. And like this kind of joke that I have in my head is that like the same people who will shit on a token will like gladly give 20% equity for basically a different kind of token. They just don't like understand the form factor. But I think that what is happening is that all of these independent AI researchers are like, whoa, I don't have to give equity. I could just do what I love doing and make culture.
Yeah, they don't that. They don't know you can do that.
Yeah,
like most people don't like crypto is the weird scammy thing. What does that do? They don't know there's like a retro PGF that there's like
or
you
could
can
just
go
like
apply for
community
protocol.
Yeah, I could just community fund ideas, or like the dev has a bag, so every time he adds an update, like he gets richer. Like that's that's just this is all just so brand new to I've kind of been able to see some of this through people like Jin, who's like tried to pill me on a lot of this stuff, and like I've done DAOs and things, but not like, oh wow, this is really gonna change. And I think a lot of the AI people are like, oh, I don't have to go, like I could just put out something and I have $1 million, and now I can like put out more, and people, I'm giving them what they want, and it's letting me be an artist and creative and an engineer. It's like, it's really fucking cool. So I think that there's like an opportunity
that, and like people might not, and like the you can tell people that are Silicon Valley or whatever like that, like in crypto, and they won't believe you. There's no way that's legal or whatever, and like just doing that of a gray area, but like there is also doesn't involve venture capital, and they can just release all of their code open source and not have to like hide and be worried about which VC they're going to piss off if they do release something.
Yeah,
so like
look, I'm
it
one of
is